And we are live. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Global Citizens. My name is Kelvin. I'm the show's creator and I'm the host of the show too. So for those of you who just tune in for the very first time to this channel, yeah, Global Citizens is a show whereby I hosted third culture kid, cross culture kid, nomads, and of course expatriates. The reason being is that I when you live in a new country or at least somewhere that is away from your own passport, you tend to experience culture shock and then you need to adapt to a new culture. Whereas for third culture kids, they grow up living in it. And in comparison, when you come into a country for a holiday, you are just there to sightsee. You are there to see the more of the positive area because you will be the tourist attraction spot. So my guest for today is Miss Carolina Travaglio. She is a third culture kid. I believe, if I recall correctly, she lived in around 6 countries. Am I right to say that, or a lot more?
Um, 10 cities.
10 cities. My goodness. All right, that's a lot more than that. Okay, so Carolina is actually an architect. She is currently pursuing her second master's degree in philosophy. But why I actually invited her is because I noticed that TCKs tend to succeed more in areas that is a lot more creative based. And Carolina is actually a curator of ideas in words. If you notice at her background, behind her there's a lot of sticky pads here. She actually she actually has a unique platform whereby she wrote her ideas, she posted on a sticky pad, and then she posted one by one on her Instagram. So that's a really cool thing. So Carolina, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm doing fine. Thank you for
Fantastic.
having me.
You're most welcome. All right. So okay, I'd like to immediately jump into ideas in words here. So what was the inspiration to it, and how important it is for you to actually express yourself, and I believe for other people too.
Well, the inspiration for Ideas and Words was really the need to communicate and express whatever was coming to mind at a daily basis.
Okay.
And I was writing quotes here and there, and I would come up with other things to say, like on the back of notebooks and stuff like that. And so eventually I was like, hey, I wanna write. I also write like long text. I started having a blog that was
Oh,
the first Ideas and Words platform. And later on, I was like, well, I have to, or I want to take this to another social media platform, which is easier for people to access.
okay.
Because, well, unfortunately, people don't like reading such long text. They like more to read like
Yep.
little little things. So I was like, well, I'm gonna try Instagram, and I needed something that would be low maintenance, like very easy to do and produce. Because at the beginning, I was like, okay, I'm a designer, and I'm gonna do this very perfectly with an app that will be very pretty, etc. But that would take me a lot of time, and then I came up with the sticky pad, which I used all the time for other things, and that's how it came to be. And the subjects are really varied. I mean, I speak from being a TCK to motivation, mental health awareness, more philosophical subjects, and so on.
All right. All right. Okay. With regards to my opening statement, yeah, do you feel that TCKs tend to lean or at least succeed better in areas that is more creative based as compared to a conventional 9 to 5? Or if not creative based, it's tend to be a lot more entrepreneurship related that allows one to explore different areas or be having a freedom or at least having the autonomy to do whatever they feel to.
Yeah, I do think there's a relation between the two. I think it comes from the fact that we are accustomed to think from different perspectives at the same time. And that's
Yep.
obviously important in creativity, because you're going to be using whatever it is you're designing or you are creating
Mhm.
to a range of purposes and for a range of people.
All right.
Um,
All right.
I think that's very important. So
Hello.
yeah, sorry, it
Sorry.
just
Sorry.
went. Um, yeah, I believe that whenever you're in a design process, you have to iterate a lot, and you have to um, believe in what other people are going to need. And so as a TCK, you come to understand what the both cultures that you're living in, your own and the one you are in, have to say at a certain point. And that it's a forced mechanism for survival, so to speak.
All right, all right. Okay, okay, that's a really cool thing. Okay, so with regards to yourself in the area of perspective, yeah, how do you think your perspective differs from the country which is your original passport or your birth passport? And has it ever put you at odds with your parents or even romantic partners?
Well, it hasn't put me at odds really. My passport, so by birth I am Venezuelan and by passport I am Italian. Um, and well, I grew up in a number of places. I have always seen it as a richness, which is great. With my parents, it has also always been very good because they are also of a different way of thinking from the country that we come from.
Okay.
So we see the differences as something very good. And I have had relationships with mostly with guys from other countries. Typical, we always have relationships with
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
from other countries,
Yeah.
more than our own.
Because
Um,
we are not in our own country most of the time.
yeah, exactly. And then it's also, um, it's really fun to discover the other person, and you get to a very intimate level about how they think and speak and do. Um, and that's also really a richness.
Yeah.
It can become a little hard when it comes to like relationship with the family or stuff like that, when they might not be like accustomed, like for the third culture kid environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it's a bit of um of a problem if you let it to be a problem, but otherwise it could be a really good opportunity. And when you're in a relationship with a person from another country, you also create a third culture between the two. I think that is true as well.
Okay. You are one of the very handful that actually tell me that as a TCK, you can immediately bond with your parents who adapt a different perspective also, yeah? So I'm
Okay.
gonna have to ask you something that every single one of my guests who are TCKs tend to hit me for. And first off is what is home to you? And second is what forms your anchor, as in things or people that allows you to remember who you are, to stick to your roots. And how do you think the younger TCK can discover theirs?
Well, that's a complicated question in all three ways, but I'm gonna try. Let's see. Home
Please
for
do.
me is probably my birth country.
Okay.
But there's a very particular thing that I need to explain about Venezuela, and that happens, I guess, with some countries, but especially with mine at this moment in time, is that there's a lot of political turmoil. The economic and social crisis is very deep.
Okay.
And so I had to leave my country for a good 5 years ago.
Okay.
And most of my friends, TCKs or not, most of them just Venezuelans, they have had to leave as well in the course of the last 10 years.
Wow.
So my parents left as well, and half of my extended family is also abroad in different countries. So it's a very particular situation where I don't go back home for holidays. My parents aren't there anymore.
Oh.
My parents live here in Valencia with me in the city. So it has I've had this separation with the home concept of Venezuela as my home. And the other places I have lived in, like I could say that my base is my home right now, in this case Valencia. but it doesn't feel like it either because I haven't been here for as long as necessary. A part of my family is here, but I don't feel that it's very permanent.
Yeah.
So I unfortunately I don't have a home, so to speak.
Oh, well,
I
when
don't
you
feel
don't
that I
have, you don't feel that you belong anywhere, you belong everywhere. Am I right to say that?
Yeah, I don't belong I don't belong anywhere at the moment. Maybe
Uh,
someday we'll see. The second part of your question, if you could remind me,
oh, sure,
was
sure. All right.
about.
What forms your anchor? So anchor is referred to things or people
Mm,
that allows you to stick to your roots, that remember who you are. Basically, how is it like growing up in Venezuela? And also, how do you feel the younger generations of TCK can discover theirs? Because if you remember it very well, is that when we all were younger, we tend to have difficulty knowing or even sticking to remember who we are. Like for example, maybe if let's say you come from a certain country with which has a lot more maybe stringent work ethics, and then when they come to another country which has a lot more lax in lifestyle, then they tend to have a difficulty remembering is that do I stick to who I am, or because people will find me odd or
yeah,
strange if I do it a different way. I mean, like
to adapt or not.
I think I've heard it before from my sister when she was studying in Beijing. Is that if you throw a dust rubbish in the dustbin, people look at you weirdly because yeah, okay, I better not say on
Okay, yeah, I think in a sense we kind of have to be chameleons when you move to a place from one place to another very
Yep.
quickly, and that also has to do with the creative part that we were talking about. I myself like to learn about the country and the culture where I'm in, and try to be as respectful to it as possible, and also in being respectful and polite, people come to also want to understand why I'm acting in a certain way, maybe in a way that is not their own, but they understand that I'm not from there.
Okay.
Since I am being respectful, they are also more understanding. But also, I think it's really key to speak the language of the place. That is
Yep.
an easy way to also approach other people, and for them to be able to explain to sort of understand, like, why are you acting differently, um, even if you don't speak the language perfectly. It's even better if you don't speak it perfectly, because then they know, oh, you're a foreigner.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not from here, actually.
Yeah, but
um,
actually it's quite fun when they found out that you can speak their language. They'll be like, "Oh my god, you can speak our language."
yeah, you can speak it perfectly. Why? Where have you lived? Yeah, so, but that being said, I think it is also important to stay true to the way you do your things.
Yep.
um, so to continue to dress the way you do, and um, make your hair the way you do it, and um, the basic, like, polite things, like, do them all the way the same, in the same way. So the anchor for me has been to stay in that pattern, even though I have evolved, obviously, and I take in things from every place that I've lived in. It's been about being myself, and
Yep.
about eventually being with people that understand myself, and so that people are my best friends, and certainly my especially my parents and my sister and brother, and people who really know me, although
All right.
that obviously is hard because we're all very far away from each other, but that's another subject.
You want to elaborate a little bit more on that? It's fine.
Oh yeah, well, it's just that, as I said, my parents live here in Valencia. My sister lives in Austria. My brother lives in France. My best
Wow.
friends live in Chile, Venezuela, and the States. And well, I think that's enough.
That is a complicated one.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Holidays are complicated.
Okay, this is actually something that I noticed when I was reading some articles with regards to TCK and transnational documentary. Yeah. Okay. It's regarding image and body image, especially this is something that is really, really touchy, especially when you are younger, because, well, as well, yeah, well, I'm not really young anymore. I'm turning 27 in a few more days, so that's another story.
You're still
Okay.
young.
Uh, let's not elaborate on that, shall we? Yeah. Okay. So, with regards to yourself, yeah, have you ever changed or want to change how you look as because you due to sense of insecurity to fit in with those in your host country? And how do you act? And let's say if you have ever done that, how do you actually feels that you tend to gain a sense of self acceptance?
Well, I have to say that for me, body image and the way I dress and the way I design myself is really important because being an architect, you are told or you are almost taught to do so. Because I remember a professor once saying, "You are designing a building, but you're not designing yourself because you're coming to hand in your project and you look like shit, basically." And so from always, like, it's a choice for me. Like, I know what I'm wearing and why, and I even have like the system of why I choose the color of my clothes in a certain way for it to be easier. I mean, my whole wardrobe is designed.
Okay.
Um I use black because it's a trademark color for architects. I do my hair in particular ways that I've wanted to over the course of the last 12 years. It's always been a thing for me. Like a sense of expression comes there. And so I've
Is it
never,
also for functionality with regards to your hair? Because I know that
um,
if you're in a construction site, you definitely don't want to keep a long hair because you worry there'll be dust and all.
well, not really, not for now. I mean, I was in a construction site a few years back, and at the time my hair was long, but it wasn't because of it.
Oh, okay, okay. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah.
all right.
No, I think it's good to blend in other ways, but maybe it's because I'm in the design world that I don't really care about people think. I'd rather want to make a statement in a different way.
All right. Okay, okay, that's new. Okay, so I actually want to dive in now on your career in architecture. Yeah, so not only are you is that your career, you are actually pursuing a second master's degree, and it is in philosophy. Which, if you ask an Asian parents, they'll be like, "What are you doing? That doesn't make any sense at all." I mean, maybe if you want to say architect, some of them can say it makes sense since it is a very viable career. However, one thing that I know about architect is that somebody who is pursuing it need to have an equal balance of both uh, a mathematical sense, if you want to call it, and of course creative pursuits. So,
Yeah.
with regards to your career and interest that is leans towards more on the creative aspects of it, and even with ideas in words, which is an art related interest. Do you feel that a sense of purpose is something a TCK should strive for, to as compared to the to any kind to a career which is leans more towards monetary gain?
Well, I think, and that goes back to the question about the anchor, is that since we are not really able to have a place or persons that are home, I think work is really important. It's something that we carry with each other,
Okay.
which with ourselves, I mean,
Yeah.
and um, in that way, having a sense of purpose is really important. And for me, looking for that has been exploring and shifting from different sides of things, and of course, pursuing a creative side of architecture. As you well said, architecture has this part that's more like the engineer kind of way, and then
Yeah.
there's more artist, and it's a mix of both. And right now, I'm doing philosophy because on the theoretical part of architecture, there's also a big world of ideas. of ideas and words. And so yeah, I think it's looking for that is key, because that is something that we will always have.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, with regards to ideas and words, yeah. Maybe in 5 years' time, what do you hope to see out of that particular external venture that you're actually doing now? Because I believe that you are putting your thoughts, something that is supposed to feel a lot more personal to you, on social media, which is a gateway to everybody to see it. So, what do you hope to see out of this? Or do you feel that it is something as a form of self expression? Or you hope that it is something that can assist in your career in later on in your life?
Well, this might sound a little bit corny, but even if I just I inspired a couple of persons a day, I'm really, really happy. And because it's also already something for me to just express myself. And also, which I didn't say before, part of the inspiration was the way my sister once told me that I should like have memos of how I felt and how I could improve on certain things. Because she said one day, like, okay, if something made you feel better at a certain point, you should remember it. So write it down, and that way you will be able to have it again the next day. And that's how I started to fill my wall, and that's how it became something for me. And just sharing it, it's already a pleasure. If I
All right.
could already organize all that I have in the different topics in a line of thought that would be coherent, that would be great. And yeah, if I could like publish that in a certain way, that would be already great. But what I would really like is for it to be able to be seeds for the blog, and to write and publish other texts that I have. I want to write a number of books that I'm working on for the long run. I don't know when.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
it's all, yeah,
If you're
ideas
ever
and
interested, maybe you can refer to one of my past guests, Mr. Ocean Reed. He has worked with over 4,000 authors, some of whom are Emmy and Golden Globe winner. One of whom is actually Mr. William Shatner.
Wow, okay, yeah,
Yeah, if
great.
you're ever interested and you already have the idea, please just contact him. He is, I believe, episode. Oh crap. Okay, I will tell you which episode. I'm sorry, I
Great.
can't remember a bit.
That's a
Okay,
great idea. Thank you. Yeah,
you're
ideas
most
and words is a simple mini blog, but at a certain extent, there are big dreams there.
all
Let's
right.
just say that.
Big dream starts with something small, right?
Yeah, mostly.
Okay. Okay. So I actually want to ask, and I'm not trying to criticize people here, yeah. So how do you feel someone who is of monocultural background from falsely assuming that TCKs are spoiled or entitled, or maybe tend to be perceived in a negative way? So one of the thing I've ever heard as a backlash for TCK is that we tend to be a lot more straightforward. My past guest, Ms. Mira Dumapias, who is the CEO of TCK now, a nonprofit organization that helps TCK to discover their identity, attributed this to the fact that due to our short period of time staying at a certain place, or because we try to get rid of shallow socializing, we tend to be a lot more straightforward in who we are. So we show who we are, both the positive and the negative aspect to it.
Yeah.
So how do you feel that someone of a monocultural background can be a lot more accepting to TCK instead of just having their perception in the first 5 seconds or so?
Yeah, no, it's complicated from day one, from minute one,
Yeah,
because even if you're in a multicultural scene where, for example, you're traveling to
yeah,
for holidays, and somebody asks you, "Where are you from?" The
yeah.
great question, "Where are you from?" You already, for me, it's a really complicated thing to answer, and so I'll try to bypass the question. But if I do say the real answer, or where I live or where I have lived, people are like, "Wow, you're boasting about, yeah, having lived in a number of places."
Yeah.
And so it quickly becomes this this way of people saying, oh, you are not one of us.
Yeah.
They feel like you are, they don't really know what's going on, because ourselves, when we don't know that we're TCKs, we're kind of like, what's happening here, in an identity sense. I think that there are two things. There's a way of, again, being a chameleon and trying to adapt to the person you're talking to. You have to know your audience.
Yeah.
Then there's also the sense of being humble about what you can say and what you cannot say, like saying it, but in a sense that you think that would be an interesting thing for the other person to know. If the other
Yeah.
person is not interested, then, well, that's something else. But there
Instead
might
of
be
making
people
it sound
that
like, hey, we are boasting, we have all this experience. I
yeah.
agree.
But then I think it's really important, and that's why I try to collaborate with the TCK community, that the TCKs know they are TCKs.
Yeah.
Because until I was, I think, maybe 18, I didn't know that existed. And when I read the characteristics of being a TCK, I was like, wow, finally,
Hey,
this is
I
why.
found out who I am. Hooray.
This is why I'm weird. And I remember one specifically, it said, you are very critical about your own country.
Yeah.
You criticize many, many aspects of it. But at the same time, you are absolutely in love with your country.
I can
And
attest to that because in Indonesia, the thing is that uh, in Indonesia, if you want to socialize, is that there's a lot more of this kind of in the first. Let me tell you an experience of mine. So I was supposed to be attend a 3 hour meeting. So the first 1 hour, we actually don't even talk about anything with related to work. Everybody is practically just trying to socialize with everybody, which I feel is a waste of time. And the next 2 hours is that the meeting part is like only around 15 to 45 minutes. The rest of them is they're trying to promote some things that to me is just something that I can just Google or you can just send it through a group chat. So I can agree to that. So at that time was I was about to fly off the night on the same day. So all I was thinking, can you people please just shut up and let me go? So yeah, I agree with that.
yeah, it's a different, yeah, I think we have to know where we stand a little bit, and know our ways of thinking, and that way we can know, oh, this tends to be something that people don't like, or, and also respect that maybe people won't like you. That's it. you know
So sad.
it just happens, it happens.
Well, not everybody will always like you. So yeah, that sucks. Oh well, that's
Yeah,
life.
and
Right.
stick to other TCKs, that's also a good one.
All right. All right. Carolina, this is going to be my last question for you. Okay. What three advices, or you can even or you can use three books or any kind of material that you feel could inspire younger ge- inspire younger generations of TCKs or even somebody who is at the crossroad of their life. Maybe they just graduated from college or they want to leave a job because at the end of the day, this is always a big step in our life. So maybe do you have any advices for them before they actually make a decision out of rash decision? Then after that, well, they everything went kaput. Then after that, they cry in here and there.
Okay. Yeah, it's a difficult one because solving crosswords is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah,
But I
unless
believe
you have the
that
answer key. Okay,
yeah.
sorry. No, for literal crossword. Apparently, there are some that has an answer key. Okay, but that's another story. Never mind.
um yeah, so yeah, solving those is not easy. I do believe that leaning on family members and friends that really know you, that's really important. And
Okay.
then following um, whatever clicks with you. And maybe it's a completely new culture, maybe it's something that you already know. I mean, Also, there is something I think about TCKs. I have the same experience myself, and I can't say I have overcome it completely, but sometimes we think that going to the same place again might be too
Yeah.
boring, and maybe sometimes having a little bit of stability is good.
All right.
um, or the other way around as well. Maybe you're too afraid of getting out there again because you know how it feels like. You should remember that you've survived every single time.
Remember
So
your blessings, guys. Don't just remember the mishaps.
exactly. Um, as far as for books, and I haven't really read anything written by a TCK. Maybe we should do
I'll be happy to.
a joint
Uh,
book about that.
just to let you know, the first time I actually did, I was actually writing articles. I think the first 6 to 7 months or eight, is it? 6 to 8 months of 2019, I was actually writing articles that is actually based on my experience as a TCK. So I include a pop culture story related to it in order to do that. But at that time was it was so tedious, and I don't know if this is something that is really shared with everybody or every TCK would have felt it, which is why it became this channel. So I'm really grateful that a lot of this is actually helping people, or it gives value, or at least there's a channel whereby somebody can attest to this is how I feel, and or even say of their own personal opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very glad that you're doing it.
Thank you so much. All right, then. So that is the end of Global Citizens, episode 25. Yeah. For those of you who are wondering before why is my show's channel is different, Global CKtizens. Okay, I've been asked this. I've actually explained it before. It was us again, so no worries. There is an actual publishing company called Global Citizens, and they actually created a Facebook page. So when I first created this channel, I have the same spelling, but I didn't know about it. So I changed it to CKtizen because it's actually my initial. So it's Calvin Karunyawan. That is why it became that way. As I also want to personalize my own branding. That's one. And second, for those of you who are wondering, this is actually a Facebook Live. So once the broadcast has ended, it will be on my Facebook wall. It will be on my Global Citizens page also. So this is where you can find it. All right. So Carolina, I've left your blog and your Instagrams and yeah, and all your Instagram and then okay, and
Yeah,
ideas in words are also inside there. So if any
great.
one of you are interested to actually find out a bit more on Carolina's work, do check it out. Carolina, do you
Sure.
have anything you wanna ask or say?
Yeah, I just thanks so much for watching, for having me, and see you around Instagram and online everywhere.
All right. Okay.
Hopefully.
Before I sign off, I need to give a shout out to those who leave a like and comment here. So I need to acknowledge Mr. Enga and Mr. Ivan. They are my acquaintances also. Thank you so much. And of course, Uncle Pri, who actually leave the heart shaped emoji thing. Fun fact, when we first actually met, he thought I really was posting when I told him what is my TCK background. So yeah, pretty cool. It's clarified by Carolina. Thank you so much. All right,
Great.
that's the end of Global Citizens episode 25. So thank you for those who watching and have a good day. Bye.
Bye bye.